Hello and welcome to the Week of Prayer for Christian Unity. The theme this year has been chosen by the Sisters of the Community of Grandchamp in Switzerland, dedicated to prayer, reconciliation and unity in the Church and human family. Abide in my love, and you shall bear much fruit. And day 1 gives us the verse from John 15:16a. You did not choose me, but I chose you. Abraham heard God's call. Leave your native country, your relatives and family, and go to the land that I will show you. Jesus called his first disciples, saying, Come and see. Come, follow me. And he said to Simon, Your name is Simon, son of John, but you will be called Cephas, which means Peter. And God calls us by name, a personal invitation. Perhaps we're not called to uproot and travel afar as Abraham did, but to journey into a closer relationship with God. How aware are we of God nudging us to begin a new journey, to change direction, to draw closer to him? How can we help and empower each other to walk more faithfully the path that God has set for us? How do we discern God's guidance for ourselves and our churches? We pause for a short prayer. Jesus Christ, you seek us. You wish to offer us your friendship and lead us to a life that is even more complete. Give us the confidence to answer your call so that we may be transformed and become witnesses of your tenderness for the world. And we live in anxious times, a world of wars, violence, poverty, racism, climate change and global pandemic, a world of diverse views and concerns. Can we dare to dream a common vision? A world of justice and peace? Can we overcome together as churches our past and present divisions? Can we grow in unity? In the Psalms, David sang how good and lovely it is when brothers and sisters live together in unity. And in Psalm 133, it reminds us of the importance of living together in harmony. Relationships are special and to be treasured. And Paul urged his believers in Corinth to be united in mind and thought. Jesus prayed his disciples and future believers may be one, that we may be one so that the world would know of his love. Let's find some quiet moments in this week of prayer for Christian unity to pray for a closer walk with God, closer relationships with each other, a building of bridges and understanding, reconciliation, forgiveness and healing across different denominations and faiths, and to partnership in God's work and the healing of a broken world. God is working his purpose out, and one day there will be harmony between churches, nations, unity, peace on earth. Let's hold on to that promise. And another moment of prayer. Lord God, we thank you for the diversity and richness of life, of cultures of our Methodist family, and the worldwide church of all your denominations across the continents. We know that intolerance, prejudice and greed are deeply rooted, and Jesus, Prince of Peace, died to make us one, to break down the dividing wall of hostility, and yet so many are still estranged from you and one another. Break down the barriers with your peace and love. Barriers of hatred, jealousy, fear, distrust, pride, power-seeking, and issues that divide rather than unite. Make us channels of your peace. and help us to face the challenges of the months ahead, assured of your inner peace and abiding love. What does it mean to belong to your local church? Ecumenical family of churches, the Methodist Circuit, District, Connection. Do you feel part of God's worldwide church? More questions, perhaps, than answers. There are several hymns in the Life and Unity section of Singing the Faith, and they have some challenging and encouraging words, which I found helpful to reflect upon and also use as prayers. The words of John Bell talk of God's call and differences we share, and in others we find the community of Christ, one human family, one church united, one race, one world, rich in diversity, richer still in unity. And the words of Fred Pratt Green, what shall our greeting be? Sign of our unity. One church, one Lord. Unity doesn't mean that everyone agrees on everything. There will be differences of opinions, but perhaps we should focus on what unites rather than divides. The love of God. This COVID pandemic has certainly affected us on a global scale. We've been unable to worship in our buildings, and we have found new ways, though, of being church. In the midst of all the turmoil across the world and in our own nation, perhaps the lockdown and its impact, separation from friends and family, has given us time to think of what we value. And even though we can't meet physically, we are united in God's love and spirit. We're all part of his family with a need to think of each other's well-being. And whether or not we have access to technology of any sort, we can all share in prayer, abiding in God's love. In John 15, verse 9, Jesus says, I have loved you even as the Father has loved me. Remain in my love. As Jesus called and commanded his disciples, God calls and commands us to love each other. Let's share together in God's presence. Be calm, be still, be at peace, rest, for God is here, now, in this moment. He says, I have called you by name. You are mine, precious. You are held in my care and enfolded in my love. And be assured, rest in me, abide in me, abide in my love.